Hey guys, Happy New Year. It is 10:37. It's not too late to talk about goals on New Year's Day. Today has been a wonderful day. I've been it with family. We had a big afternoon meal together. Then we watched movies and I read a book. I read my first book of the new year. Took um, and now it's time to talk about goals and what I'm looking forward to in 2020. And I'm going to tell you why this is really important for not just authors to do, but all of us to have a place where we can write down our goals and then just kind of keep coming back and revisiting them, looking at them, because God can take us so many places that we would have never imagined. And what we put on this paper does not definitely define our year. So I want to start out by saying that, but it's really awesome to be able to go through and check through goals at a later time period and say, oh, wow, God took that like 3 steps further than I would have ever imagined I would have, done for 2019. Then I've also looked at the goals for 2019 that I wrote and said, well, that one's got to move on over to 2020. And that's fine because it just wasn't in the right timing. And wow, that's how life happens. But it's so good to be reflective that way. And I'm getting older and I need to write these things down. So I've got my journal here, my author journal. I've got so many journals, like they're all over the place. But I have written down my 7 goals. And I want to tell you, I do have some personal goals. Like my son is going off to college this year. So 2020 is going to be kind of one of those mama emotional years. So I'm going to spend tons and tons of time with my family, of course. But I want to talk specifically about author goals. So I do have my goals for my family too. So my first one is read the Bible with my husband. So that is my author goal because I'm also about reading books. And what better way to finish the New Testament with my husband, and then we're going to start back with the Old Testament. So I put that as my number one because I'm a Christian author too. Always being in the Word, it's important to me to be there and to learn, to continue to grow in my faith. So that way, when I'm out in the world and social media, I can share verses that I'm learning, and I can just put out the word like that. I need to be in it every day too. And I do, but I want to be more sustained with my husband. So I got his permission to put that on my list. And he was, yes, let's do it. Number 2, I want to read 70 books again. And yes, 7 is my lucky number. So yes, so 70. But I'm telling you guys, you see that bookshelf back there? That was my Christmas present. That was my first bookshelf that I've owned. And it's already filled and already have, but I have space. But I've already started my goals for reading again. And if you guys listen to my podcast, you'll kind of know that I love reading middle grades. Thanks to Kate DiCamillo, my favorite author out there in the world. I'm pretty much stuck on middle grades. I just finished reading Took today. My stepdaughter finished that today. She was like, you've got to read it. You got to read it. It's one of her favorites now. So I had to read that. This one is my next read. It's the number 1 in the Goosebumps series. And I'm starting it because I have an online book club. So if you're out there and you're an author and you're saying, what do you mean online book club? Find yourself some author friends and say, hey, let's meet once a week, because I cannot tell you how valuable that is for me. So while I'm reading these 70 books a year, I'm also discussing books and talking through books with other writers. And we have an online writing community for children's lit. And then Goosebumps is what we're reading. We just finished the Roald Dahl experience. So we read 3 of Roald Dahl's books in December. And now we're doing Goosebumps. So I'm also in the middle of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I'm reading that with my students at school. So that's fun. And so I want to read my 70 books again. But I'm including the Pinterest post where I'm adding my books as I go. But I'm also, this year, really focused in on my online book club. I love the notes that I take. In fact, here's my notebook. Like, guys, seriously, like notes, notes, notes. All of these are notes that I'm taking as we study authors. And I just love it. So definitely doing that. Number 3, Tides came out today. So my trilogy is out there in the world. But I also have a release coming out in February. And so if you guys have kind of followed the progression of my Whirlwind 2019 and my rapid releases, I wanted to kick that off again. I thought I would be writing a Valentine's book with characters from A Magical Christmas Wedding. Completely new story came to me last Monday, and I actually finished it over the holiday break. And now I have Offbeat, and that's going to be coming out in February. And so I am looking for new publishing ideas, new stories to come to me for 2020. So who knows what the Lord is going to give me for my books. I just know right now that Tides came out today, January 1st, and then February 1st I have Offbeat coming. So I do know I have 2 that are on their way. And praying about Sweet Potato Jones. So Sweet Potato Jones is through my publishing company and Swoon Romance. And I've had a contract with them since 2018. And so this one is going to be the year. I just turned in final edits this week, in fact. And it's going to be going to proof. So I'm looking forward to Sweet Potato Jones coming out. Hopefully 2020, this will be her year. So that's why I have number 4, Let Sweet Potato Jones Do Her Thing. Because I actually had that on my 2019 list. But like I said at the beginning of this video, these are lists, these are goals, and I know that in God's timing, it's all going to work itself out. So I had to move Sweet Potato Jones from the 2019 to 2020. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with Sweet Potato. So number 5. So, okay, I've got write the sequel to Rapture Revolution with Sam. So Sam is my child who I dearly love experiencing books with because I homeschool too. And so we've been reading my books as a part of our homeschool. He read The Rapture Revolution, absolutely loved it. It's one of his favorite books, along with Harry Potter and The Hobbit. And he wants to write book 2 with me. So Sam's name is going to be on the cover because I am going to give that child the credit. And he's created all the characters, and we're going to work this book together. I'm going to have so much fun co-authoring with my 12-year-old. Cannot wait for that. So that is our plans for the summer 2020 is writing a book together. So I'm looking forward to the summer for that. Number 6, I want all of my books to be in audio. Now, I am tickled that I have 4, that they are out there on Audible. They're out there in the world. They are doing so well. I have 2 bestsellers right now. I'm super excited about the Audibles, but I want the rest of my books in audio. And you guys know that my degree is in special education, and I champion accessibility. And this is very near and dear to my heart. So it has nothing to do with anything other than the simple fact that I want all of my books in a format where people can access them and listen to them and hopefully love them just as much as I do. So my goal for 2020 is to have all of the books that I have published so far under the Jen Lowry name to be out there in audio. So wish me luck on that. I have wonderful narrators. I am hoping that they're going to continue contracts with me for 2020. So I'm praying about that. And if the Lord brings new narrators to my way, then I know that it was meant to be. But I already have it in my mind, like I know what I want. So I'm praying about that. So Audible, 2020, all my books going up there, hopefully. And then number 7, I definitely am looking at my book tour and my book promotions. I just need to get better at that stuff. I did a bunch of tours. I was really happy. I kind of called it the fall tour, and then I got a July date, so it kind of started in the summertime. of 2019. And I was on the road, and we did a couple of trips, and I was at a conference, and I loved it. And I definitely want to um, plan more book events for 2020. I loved meeting readers, families, and just talking about books and passing out hobbits because I'm weird, um, and just talking with people about books. But what was amazing for me, and I looked back on this, and that's why it's kind of been like, it's like 10:47. I'm talking goals, and I didn't do it earlier, so I'm like super tired in my Star Wars pajamas. Um, but the reason why I wanted to really reflect on it, and I really wanted to just to pray about my goals. I did a vision board first, even before writing them down, because I'm a visual learner. So on Pinterest, I was playing for like an hour. But then I was just praying and talking with my husband and thinking about goals before I even committed and put them down. But there's something about the book tour that really stood out to me today. And it was the people that I met. And it wasn't just readers, it was people that said, I want to be an author. How did you get that? What did you do? I had wonderful conversations with people when I was on the road. And I just feel like the Lord can use me in that way to help inspire people and encourage people to write. And I could say, hey, I'm 44. I started late. But you know what? It's okay. We are all starting. And then I can work with the youth and our Mighty Pen Club and all of the people at school that I have contact with that are writers. So from youth all the way to people that I'm meeting out in the community and just when I'm on tour, I do feel like that's the reason why I'm out. That's the reason why I'm going out. It's not to sell a book. It's to meet people and to talk to them. And if they've got a dream, then hey, here's my card. You know, you can find me here. And if people want to join Patreon, they can join Patreon and be on that community with me where I can help coach them through that because I'm a trained coach. And so all of those things, I feel like the Lord is just setting me in places where I can meet people. I will never forget going to a university and having a talk, and I could just sense it. I could sense it. And then at the end, the young lady waited behind, and she was like, I'm going to start writing my poetry. I'm going to start doing it. I'm going to write it and put it all together. And I'm like, God, every single time, like every time, God puts me in places. I feel like He's using me to help just advance the kingdom and advance Christian authors in the work that they've called to be doing in their life. So anyway, book tour, I got to get that going. I've got 3 already scheduled for 2020, but I would love to do 12. I would love to do 1 a month. There was a month when I did 2, and it was a lot. Probably will not try to do that unless the opportunities come up. I'm not going to say no, but I'm really going to try to schedule 1 a month. And just have 12 events this year. But that's pretty much what I've got. I know the book promotions. I'm learning those things. And my friends talk to me all the time. They're like, you're promoting because you're talking about your books on your podcast and you're out on social media. But I just feel like I could be doing it a lot better. And so I do want to focus attention on just learning how to do that. But I'm excited about just the books in general in 2019. And so my son had a great talk with me, and he was like, Mom, he was like, why do you have this need to write in 2020? He was like, you don't need to write anymore. You need to take all the books that you wrote that are already out there and just promote those and just work with those, because I have education tours I could be trying to set up with schools. I could be doing a lot of other things with the books I've already done, especially the Rapture Revolution. And he's like, Mom, just slow down. And then a new story came. And I'm like, wait, what? I got Mary, and now I've got to write about Mary and Presley, and now Offbeat came. And so now I've got 2 books already for 2020. And I'm not going to say no when the Holy Spirit comes a knock, and I'm just going to open that door and say, all right, let's go. So it's funny that when I wrote the goals for 2019, I did not have a single single goal in there about writing books over the summer, banking books, and doing those rapid releases. And look what happened in 2019. I'm still in shock about all of that and all of the prolific works that just kept coming, and I was putting them out there. There is something I didn't write down, but if you go online and you look at Offbeat, I can say that I made that cover, and I'm pretty proud of that cover after like 50 attempts at trying to figure it out and saying, look at this one. And look at this one, and taking pictures of it and sending it to my Aunt Dot. Which one, Aunt Dot? Do you like her looking this way, or do you like this one? And what do you think of this music note? Yeah, like 50 tries. And so I'm really excited to learn more about graphic design. That is not my major. I am a teacher by day. I am not a graphic artist, and I applaud anybody out there that has that special skill and talent. But I can grow and I can learn and I can take criticism, and then I can share it out with my writer friends, and they can say, well, I like this, but I think that this, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then I'll go back to the drawing board. So I will say for 2020, if I do have any more releases out there, I do want to try my best to make my own covers and then pay my cover designer to help me with my wraps. Because I still haven't figured out that Ingram Spark wrap yet, y'all. I'm telling y'all, that's a mess. Me trying to put junk in a box and trying to line up the spine and all that. That's for my cover designer. But I want to do like a lot of the pieces myself. I want to build the entire cover, share the pieces with my cover designer, and say, okay, can you just help me put this in and fix Illustrator, because I don't have Illustrator. So I'm like, can you figure that out for me and do the wraps? So that's kind of like where I'm going as far as like graphic design for 2020. And as far as like with my health, I did like the no soda challenge. My friend Pooja, she really helped me. So I got off sodas in 2019. I started walking more. So some of the things always about my health. I do want to stay healthy for my family, for my children, for my class, for my students. And so that's always a priority. But just really just spending that quality time with my family, because this year was all about the balance, and 2019 really helped me see that I could write, I could work full time, I could homeschool, I could do all of the things in my life, and still produce books. And yes, that might mean that I started getting up at 5:30 even on the weekends, and writing long extended periods of the day until UFC come on and we can watch our fights. But I learned to manage it, and I learned to do it, and now I'm a 5:30 a.m. girl, and I don't mind it. I love getting up, and I love working the books and editing and doing the whole process. And so those habits were built in 2019. And so I'm going to carry those over in 2020. And I'm looking forward to it, because we all need that balance. And I was a little worried when I started back to work after the summer break and I got back into my classroom. I was like, Lord, am I going to be able to do it again? Am I going to, is a story even going to come now that I'm working again? And of course, A Magical Christmas Wedding came, and I dedicated that one to my mom for her Hallmark love. And I wrote it, and I wrote it while doing all of those things. And so, yes, I will capitalize on our breaks. That is the benefit of being a literacy coach, being able to have that time. So over this Christmas break, I finished that book. In December, I actually finished the Everyday Author Challenge, and I put that out there. So that's one of my nonfiction pieces. I produce a book each year for the Everyday Mom Challenge series. So I challenged authors this year, and I know why, because that's kind of where I have just been living in this author world for 2019. So that's that book that came out in December. So I was managing all of the things and juggling it and being happy. and just doing what I love. Writing is what I love. And for 2020, I'm looking forward to what the Lord has in store. And I'm just going to continue for the Lord to use me and to pray for Him to use me and let it be. So I just want to tell you guys, Happy New Year. Um, Keep your journal. Write you some goals down. Now, I put 7 writing goals down, but I'm going to tell you guys, I could probably put like 10 more. Some of them are like really short term things. This is kind of like my long range plans, but I also love doing weekly goals. I check in with my Patreon people every Saturday morning at 5:30. We're starting 6:30 because we've got some time zone issues going on. Not everybody's um, living in North Carolina, but but we do our goals. We work on those for the week. I challenge new goals, and we live this author life the best that we can, with the joy that the Lord continues to give us. And so I just want to say I'm very blessed to have this platform. And even though we're a small tribe, you guys, I just love you all, and I just appreciate you and thank you for all the support. And check me out on the podcast, Jen Lowry Writes. Over the holidays, I haven't been making quite as many as normal, but I make my podcast on the way to work every day, talking about this author life and what's happening and challenging you to go after your author goals. And just follow me all over social media. I'm here, I'm there, all around, everywhere. Jen Lowry Writes at gmail.com. So if you want to send me an email, if you need prayer, or if you'd like to talk about your goals, I'd love to hear from you. So hope you have a great one. All right, guys. Bye.